you have the wards, right, where you have a representative that's elected to represent, but you're kind of like a little bit, hey, I'm a representative for business owners.
It
Is that
kind
what that means?
kind of. Now, so I'll give a couple of examples. So, for example, a few years back, the city recognized that they, because we've got so many different landowners, we want to do some Christmas decorations, but we needed a group of volunteers to get together to really look at those Christmas decorations, get bids, go through the process, pick out the colors, and the mayor put together a beautification board. And when they were putting together the representatives on that, so many of the things that they wanted to beautify were in the business districts. Well, business owners may work here, but they don't live here. Or you might have somebody, the business is, the building is owned by a property owner, but that person does not necessarily live in Homewood. So it was really important to get that business voice on this committee. And the best way to do that was, the mayor appointed me as a kind of like a liaison to that committee. And, so I sit in on meetings, we talk, I volunteer just like everybody else. I'm personally, a resident of Ward 4 as well, but having that voice from the business community on the beautification board is very important, because we're looking at Christmas decorations. What kind of things do they need? What kind of things do they want? And really sticking up for the businesses and what's going to be best for them. It's, Christmas decorations, of course, are very non-controversial. Who doesn't love Christmas decorations? It does take a lot of time and a lot of work to figure out exactly what it is we need, what makes the most sense, what's the most cost effective, but also what's going to beautify the city as well. And that board has really grown into a number of other directions. We look at the gateways to the community. We do awards for businesses that have either renovated or cleaned up properties that have beautified. And so it's really helpful to have that business voice on that as well. Another really good example was when I first started, actually 8 years ago, the city recognized that there were lots of parking issues in downtown, and they needed a committee to get together and kind of come up with the laundry list of things that needed to be done about parking. You can identify individual business owners maybe that can serve on that committee, but it was really helpful to put me on that committee because I can represent every business in Homewood on parking issues.
Yeah.
When there's an issue, a lot of times people call the chamber director about what's going on from the businesses.
That's what I was thinking about. I was like, historically, I just, my involvement in chambers has been, that if you're a business, you go there to network. But this idea of like, well, the chamber is a connection to the city officials. And so like, if you're a business, that is an easy way in to getting into like being heard by the city.
It's a very grassroots kind of form of advocacy. It's great in the sense that, I have a little bit of flexibility where I can go meet with lots of different people and advocate for those businesses. It's tough, but sometimes it is incredibly important for our businesses to have that extra advocate. And so in a way, I provide the city with that input from the business community. And that's my constituency in a sense. But, it's not, you kind of almost brought it to the point where, I don't sit on city council. I don't have a vote. But sometimes any city councilor can call me and ask for, hey, have you gotten calls about this issue? What's the temperature on XYZ?
Well, if the city councilors are doing, their job is to represent their constituents and things like that, right? So like having their ear and giving them things to think about, like that's almost like being on there. At the end of the day, they make the decisions, but you have that influence and you have that ability to sort of like turn their attention to something that they may not have seen.
I can provide them information.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing is that data point of, how many businesses have called Meredith about this issue. And that's why, especially parking was such one of those things that really bubbled up because so many people had called us and wanted us to look at those parking issues. And what was great about that committee specifically was we were able to come up with a list of 15 recommendations, and those were things that the city council was able to systematically go through and check off boxes. We looked at this area. We looked at this area. We put 10 parking spaces here. We put 15 parking spaces there. And, each one of those projects in its own was not life-changing. But when you get through those 15 things, you might have added 300 parking spaces. And that is a big deal.